Before we talk about practice and all that kind of stuff, I do want to, on behalf of Virginia Tech football, extend our condolences to the family of Coach Dooley. I know, obviously I didn't know Coach Dooley, but I know he played a big role in ACC football, or the ACC in general, and made many positive contributions to Virginia Tech. So I'm going to make sure we extend our condolences to his family. Today we did get a little bit of scrimmage in. We practiced for a little while, a little bit of controlled scrimmage. The kids have gone 6 straight days now, so they'll be off tomorrow. And then we've got 3 days, and then we'll take Sunday off. So looking forward to Fan Day on Sunday. I think it should be a good event, fun for us to interact with the fans, relax a little bit in this kind of hectic time. But the team's making progress. We've got an interesting group of guys, an interesting mix. And we've got some guys that played a whole bunch of snaps. When you think about, Kenny Canham and Chuck Clark, Ike Conte and John McLaughlin. You think about all the guys that everybody knows that played a tremendous amount, and we've got a bunch of guys that haven't played very much football. So today we tried to kind of get out there and scrimmage a little bit, but limit the reps on some of those elite, I shouldn't say elite, those older guys that have some serious mileage on them, and really, really work everybody else. So not very far into the scrimmage, the ones were out there, but there were guys on both sides of the ball that were pulled out, which affected it. We've got a lot of work to do with those guys. I stand by what we said when we started. But I like the way our kids are going about it, and I'm looking forward to watching the film.
What did you do with the quarterbacks today in terms of how much did Evans and Motley participate?
Oh, they got all. They alternated, and they got all. They're not on that list of guys. Plus, they don't get hit out there, so they took plenty. I'll tell you, and Josh Jackson, took plenty of reps too, and has made good improvement as well.
What have you learned about Evans and Motley that you maybe didn't know about them at the start of fall camp?
Oh, I don't know if there's really anything that I've learned about them. I continue to be impressed by the way they go about their business on a daily basis. I know that this is important to them, and they've worked hard and been diligent in their preparation to try and give themselves a chance to have success. I feel like I have a decent feel for them, just as good as I could right now.
Even if you don't want to say specifically what it is, have you picked up on things you can do with one versus the other, or are they similar to the point that you'd run the same things regardless of who you go with?
Yeah, I don't. I think everybody has small nuances that they're better or worse at. Those two are certainly no exception. But I don't think it's going to be a situation where, or at least it certainly hasn't been in practice, and I don't anticipate it being a deal where it's cumbersome in terms of, this guy can only run these plays and this other guy can only do these plays. I think you try and tilt it to their skill set the best you can, but I don't see. It's not like one of them is a 5'11" guy, and they're both big, good athletes. So I don't think it's going to be a big difference.
Based on what you saw in the spring, and I granted very early here this month, do you have a sense in your mind who the starter will be? Not that you're ready to name him, but you're maybe waiting for the other guy to, try to close that gap a little bit.
No, I don't have a sense. No. I think it would just be premature for me to do that, and maybe a discredit to those kids. We go into it every day with an open mind and evaluate it as we go.
At this point, are you comfortable that one of them will be ready to be your guy, or are you still at a point where they're learning and you're still trying to figure out, can they do it?
Can you ask that again?
In other words, you have to pick one of them eventually, obviously,
Yeah.
but are you comfortable that either of these guys could do the job and it's just who's better, or are they still at a point where you're trying to get them to where they can?
Yeah, I'd say there's a little bit of both in that answer. We're still trying to improve. We're still trying to get both of them better. But daily, I feel better about both of them.
Did they come back from the spring a lot better than they were when you guys last met? Did they
Yeah.
show growth over the summer that you like?
Yes, and I would say that for a large portion of the guys. I think when we kind of said it after the first practice, but when we walked off the field, you felt better about us being better the first day of fall than we were the last day of spring. And that doesn't mean we don't have a long way to go, but yeah, they have made improvements.
Logistically, how do you run the quarterback competition? What's the keys to making it fair, to keeping the guys informed? How does it work?
Well, we just continue to split the reps. I mean, that's the biggest thing. They want an opportunity. And, you know, we've promised them an opportunity. We're going to give them an opportunity. And we divide it up equally and let them go compete. So, you know, one day one takes the 2-minute drill with the ones, the next day the other one takes 2-minute drill with the ones. So, I mean, we cut it up as even as we can.
If they're responding pretty similarly, is there one aspect of the game that would be a tipping point? In other words, if they're totally even, you're like, but this guy's, you know.
Yeah, taking care of the football. I mean, to me, it's taking care of the football, managing your emotions or the ups and downs of the game, and then predicted outcomes. You know, those three things to me are trying to boil down the quarterback situation in 3 sentences. That's what I would say is value the football, handle the ups and downs of a ball game, which is a lot easier said than done, and then predicted outcomes, doing what you're coached to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that the result is positive. You know, I mean, there are a lot of variables out there on any given play, so that's why sometimes statistics can be misleading in trying to determine the quarterback. You know, is a guy doing what we're asking him to do on a consistent basis?
How has ball security been so far?
Pretty good. You know, I mean, you always want it to be better, but you know, I think that we're making that point to them.
How can you tell who handles the ups and downs without actually getting into a game?
Well, it's pretty difficult. We try to put some pressure on during practice. I usually handle part of that. Yeah, it's hard. You know, it really is. But you can still get a glimpse of it. You know, the competitiveness. You put them in a competitive situation. You can start to get a feel for what it's like. That's part of the reason why, at times in the spring, we made them live. You know, I mean, there's a little bit to that too. I mean, it's one thing to drop back and throw the ball in 7-on-7 drills. It's another thing to you know, get hit pretty hard and get up and go play the next play.
How do you tend to have them go live at all at August, or is this?
No, I've never done that. I just, it concerns me. That's why we do it in the spring, is so we don't have to do it in August, and I just haven't.
One more for Coach, and then we'll let you guys talk to Brendan and Gerard.
How do you personally ramp up pressure in practices? Is it yelling at
You want a
guys?
good example?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think we try and emphasize every rep. You know, I think they do a good job of that. I mean, they know that we're paying attention to what's going on. You know, we try and put a little pressure on them.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll-
You bet.
We would like an example.
No, I don't think we can do it exactly. Thank y'all.